Let's do a few examples of first impressions. Let's say you're the hiring manager and you're coming out to pick up somebody for an interview. How does this person rate on competence when you see him? Not super competent, huh? I mean, the phone by itself is, you can make a lot of inferences from that. But he's rolled forward. He's in a low power body position. So don't get on your phone before an interview, okay? If that's your first impression of somebody, it's not going to convey confidence. How about this one? Okay, and what's he doing that makes him look nervous?
Closed. I mean, he's got his arms folded, and so probably it's sort of like a blocking thing,
Yeah.
To let someone in,
Exactly, blocking. If our meerkat's upset and it wants to protect you from the man-eating tiger, it's going to do a couple different things. It's going to try to distance itself from the source of the discomfort through distancing body language. It will try to block, put obstacles between you and the other person to make you feel safer. The most common is with your arms because they're always attached to you. So this is, I'll make a comment here. Arm folding is neither good nor bad in body language, but it is something that we tend to do when we're uncomfortable or when we're nervous. So even if there's a legitimate reason for doing it, it may still come across as defensive or closed off or nervous. And that's the vibe that you get here, is that he's probably nervous and closed off. How about this one? Yeah, it looks worried and nervous. This is the other thing that our meerkat will drive us to do when we're nervous, is to self-soothe. We'll engage in hand wringing or rubbing of the neck or rubbing of the arm, playing with your tie or your necklace, touching your face, anything to try to calm your inner nerves and to comfort yourself. Just like with the baby, when she's upset, you'll pat her back or rub her back to make her feel better. We do that to ourselves. And you'll see this in interviews all the time because people are nervous, and you'll see them playing with their hands or tapping on the table, doing something like that to get the nervous energy out and calm themselves down. And that's what this first impression looks like, is that he's hunched down and self-soothing. Or he's the thinker, one of the two.
Kind of interesting, though, when you're in that nervousness in the back of your brain, bringing some kind of physical activity, it can be good in some ways because it's bringing it back to the prefrontal cortex, which is, acknowledging those feelings, the touch, what it actually is doing. So it helps as long as you do it effectively.
Mm-hmm. And we'll get into that when we talk about the anxiety for interviews in greater depth. All right, how about this first impression?
Better.
It's better, right?
Confident, relaxed.
Okay. And this is a good time to point out, too, there is no good or bad body language. It's just being deliberate and understanding what it is you're communicating. This is pretty casual. He's definitely comfortable and casual. And if that's what he's trying to communicate, then he nailed it.
It's amazing you're able to capture all of those.
Yeah, it's weird, huh? Almost like I knew the guy. Or I'm just a creeper taking pictures of body language everywhere I go. That could be true,
Just
too.
sit in the doctor's office all day.
Yep. Had another thought. Oh, I'm past the time to break too, aren't I? Sorry. Okay. I had another thought I wanted to say before I went on past this one. Oh well, it'll come back. Okay, so he's. Oh, I remember what it was. So, how do you want to sit in an interview is an interesting question. Maybe we'll have a discussion about that later. But it's going to decide on what you want to communicate. If I distance myself from things I don't like, and the opposite is true if we like something. We'll try to get closer to that something that we like. And so if you're close to your significant other, you're drawn physically closer to each other. If there's a movie you really like, you're sitting on the edge of your seat, you're drawn into it. And so if in an interview if you want to show that you're very interested and passionate about a topic, you can lean in to show that. Maybe you want to play it a little cooler, though, and get them to come to you. A little hard to get, then you could go more casual. We'll discuss some pros and cons and get your guys' opinion on that later on. But in this case, looks confident and comfortable. What about this one, though?
Disinterested, bored.
Okay. It's probably too expansive. You're starting to manspread. Okay. This is where you want to again find that balance of showing confidence, but not too much. Too much power body language becomes aggressive or too assertive. Well, let me ask you a question here, though. If you're this person sitting out in the room, do you have to sit? Where is that written that you have to sit while you wait for the interview to come? I would submit that you don't have to sit at all. You can stand. And this has some interesting nonverbal advantages. One is height differences have an impact on how we perceive people. They'll do studies showing a short person and a tall person and ask people, who do you think makes more money? And people tend to think the tall person makes more money. So like it or not, those height differences matter. And if you're down low in a seat and the interview is coming up, there's an instant height differential. That's putting him in a more dominant position and you in a more subservient. I don't want that. I want to try to be on the same level as the interviewer as much as possible. And so standing up is going to help close that gap. The other thing that can happen if you're sitting is you're sitting there trying to decide how you're supposed to sit, because I don't remember what the body language guy told me I should do, and now I'm all self-conscious. Then they come out, and you look up like this at them. Your eyes look really big and wide, and you get these worry creases in your forehead. It makes you look nervous right away when they first see you. Okay? Just by virtue of the fact that you're sitting and you have to look up to greet them. And I've seen that when I've come out to meet people. I don't think they're, well, they probably are nervous, but I don't think they're getting a fear expression. It just looks that way because they look up when they see me. This eliminates that too. And if you can talk to a receptionist, then that's a pretty favorable first impression too. It's showing that emotional intelligence and that you have some communication skills and that you're likable. Do you guys agree with me on that? Does this look more likable, but still competent? Still, he's still showing confidence. So that's what I do. I never sit down anymore in a job interview.
One thing I see, because I'm a car salesman, and I see salesmen do that all the time. When we see people coming in, they'll get up from their chair and they'll go talk to the receptionist.
Oh, yeah?
And it's just like, oh, hey, I didn't see you walking in there, even though it's all glass.
See, salespeople are the best at this. They know how to leverage people's primitive brains.